WiSDM Wrap for the 28th of July. This is some highlights and observations of women in strategic decision-making over the past fortnight. It's not an exhaustive list. So I noticed in the UK, the Minister of the State at the Department of Health and Social Care, Nadine Dorries, has expressed her shock at the male domination on that country's vaccine decision-making body. So according to the Minister, pregnant women have not been prioritised for COVID-19 vaccine consideration due to the male domination on the decision-making committee. So the Minister suggested that scientific committees taking decisions about women's health should have a gender balance. To give you an idea, the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation in the UK has 16 members, of which 12 are men and 4 are women. There's a further 4 women who are listed as co-opted members for implementation matters, and there is also a COVID-19 subcommittee containing 13 men and 6 women. So that's her view of what needs changing there in terms of gender balance. In Australia, of course, we had the announcement this week that pregnant women of all ages are now eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. Another thing of note, if you haven't seen it yet, Misrepresented on ABC is a series 100 years after Australia elected its very first female parliamentarian. Annabel Crabb presents Misrepresented, a raw and honest account of politics from the female perspectives. There are 4 episodes and they're all available on iView now. I was interested in an article from Annabel Crabb this week where she said of the series, as I spoke to women MPs across different generations and the spectrum of political belief to make Misrepresented, I was prepared for them to disagree with each other. This is Annabel's words. But what shocked me the most about making the series was the one experience of almost all of them had. In fact, this particular point was made by so many women in such identical terms, it was almost comedic. And she uses the words of Julie Bishop, who's the most senior woman in the history of the Federal Liberal Party, to outline the phenomenon, which she calls gender deafness. Julie Bishop said, "It happens if you're the only woman in a room and you come up with an idea or you say something. So often there's no response. And then the next person speaks. And then the next one actually appropriates your idea. And then all the men around the table nod and say, what a good idea. And you'd be there saying, didn't I say that? Did no one hear me?" So just a really interesting article, and I'll post the link to that afterwards, and I recommend going and reviewing that series as well. The third announcement I'd like to point you to is the Diversity Council of Australia appointing Ming Long AM as its new chair. So the Diversity Council of Australia is the independent not-for-profit peak body leading diversity and inclusion in the workplace. They provide unique research, inspiring events and programs, curated resources and expert advice across all diversity dimensions to a community of member organisations. And of interest, Ming Long is the first woman with an Asian heritage to lead a top 200 ASX listed entity in Australia. So quite a significant appointment in a very relevant peak body for us. And the last thing I want to mention is the New South Wales Office of Local Government launching its Stand for Your Community Diversity Counts campaign. So it aims to increase the number of local government candidates from underrepresented groups at the September council elections. So of note, women currently represent less than a third of all councillors in New South Wales, despite making up more than half of the state's population. So the campaign is calling on people from all walks of life to stand for their community, particularly Indigenous Australians, women, people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, young people and people with disability, and they're all being encouraged to run for their local council on September 4. So do check out that campaign and share it. And that's the WiSDM Wrap.